Hello again, everybody. So if you didn't quite understand the assignment sheets, you will not be taking your test this week. There's been a change of plans, mostly by me. Instead, what you're going to be doing is we're going to be moving on to Chapter 7, but you will not be having any Chapter 7 material in your test. Your test is going to be next week instead. I will make sure that you guys all get the test. Hopefully, your homework from last week as well will be able to go with you, and the homework from the week before this week. So that way you'll be able to use the study guide and corrections that I will be giving on your homework for last week to help you study for the test. The test will still just be on the adjective, the noun adjective endings without the dative. You will not need to know the dative endings for the test, and prepositions, and then the active or passive. So that is what you're going to need to study for. This week, however, in the meantime, we are going to still be going through Chapter 7, which introduces the dative case. The dative case is what's known as the indirect object. Now, direct object, indirect object, I know a lot of that can seem like technical jargon. It doesn't really make much sense. So, how about we pull up something that will help you guys sort of visualize what this means. So here you see a sentence that has both a direct object and an indirect object because it has a verb which can use both. So on the one hand, we have the subject, the person doing the action, namely Sue. What is she doing? Sue is passing. What is she passing? The ball. Now the ball is the direct object. Remember, if this were a Latin sentence, then the word ball would be in the accusative case. So Sue passed the ball. The ball is the thing that is being passed. It is the object that is being directly affected by the passing. But there's also Anne. She is the indirect object. She is not being passed. She is not the direct object because she's not the one being passed, but she's still an object in the sentence because of the fact that the ball is being passed to her. She is still being affected by the action. Think of the object of the sentence as the thing that is being affected by the verb. The direct object is the thing that the person doing the action is directly acting upon, namely passing the ball in this sense. And then Anne is the one who is indirectly affected. That she is not being passed, she is instead, the ball is being passed to her. I hope that helps sort of visualize what it means for something to be an indirect object. Now, as you could see, and if you're looking down here at my notes, you can tell that the dative case it wasn't translated with the words to or for in that sentence, but you could have translated it as or you could have put to or for in that sentence. For instance, Sue passed the ball to Anne, if you want to have the directedness closest to the verb or something like that. Then that could have been how you did it. Usually, when you're translating a Latin dative case, what you want to do, the best way to do it is to if you find a word with a dative case, you translate the word, you translate the meaning of the word, and then you put the word to or for in front of it. Those are the two English prepositions which you use to translate the dative case. Similarly, well, I guess not similarly, but you'll also notice that the dative case endings, so o-is for the masculine, a-is for the feminine, and then o-is for the neuter, are very, very similar, with the exception of a-e and a. There's supposed to be a macron here, but I've never figured out how to type that out in Word. A-e versus a. all of the endings are exactly the same. There should be make rounds over all these as well, just so that you know that. So how do you tell the difference between the two? So let's say you're encountering the word, let's go with fluviis. Let's say you're reading through Lingua Latina, you read through one of the chapters, and you find the word fluviis. How is it that you know this word right here? How do you know if it's ablative in the sentence or if it's dative in the sentence? How can you tell? Well, there's a couple ways that you can tell. The first way is whether or not it has a preposition in front of it. Let's say that it has the word ex in front of it. So ex fluviis. And you know that the preposition is going with fluviis and not with another word for whatever reason. So if you see this, you immediately know it has to be the ablative case. Why? Because the dative case never, ever, at least as far as I know, and I've been studying Latin for quite a while, I've never found a single instance where the dative case ever uses a preposition. There are no prepositions for the dative case. There are prepositions for the accusative case, and there are prepositions for the ablative case. There are no prepositions for the dative case. So if you see a word and you know that word, and you see like a small word or whatever, you see a word and you know that word does not, or you know that word is a preposition, from that you immediately know that the word that is following it is an ablative word rather than a dative word. All right. So that's the primary way you distinguish the two of them. And so I believe that is almost everything. The last thing I want to talk about is this, is one of the primary words that is going to be used, especially in the latter half of your chapter reading, which if you haven't looked ahead already, you'll notice is in assignment 2. You will have to read through the chapter. You'll have to know the chapter at least somewhat to answer most of the questions. So one of the words that is introduced in the chapter is dat dunt. This is a word from do dare, which is sort of regular default forms of the word. This word means to give. So in the chapter, you'll encounter instances of the book saying, Julius gives an apple to his son. Julius gives pears to his sons, so on and so forth. This is a useful word for exploring the dative case because of the fact that give is one of the main ways in which you use a direct object, because you have to be giving the direct object, you have to be giving something, but then you also have to be giving something to someone else. So you with virtually every single time you have the word give, or in this case dat and dunt, you also have to use the dative case. And this is why the word dative, the word dative for the dative case, and you can even see that in the abbreviation, it's called the dative. It's because of the fact that it basically comes from this word here, do dare, or dot in the third person singular. So just keep that in mind, that pretty much any time you see date, dot, or dant, or any of the other forms of it, it's going to have a dative case as well. And that should be everything. Have a wonderful week, and I wish you all good luck on your assignments. Feel free to copy down this chart. It will be very useful in the future.